We got Jake Holmes in the house with us here today. Jake, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, of course. One thing I want to mention, kind of the same thing as Brody, Jake and his wife Michaela. They actually came out to an event early this year. It was called Jeepers, Creepers, and Crawlers. I don't know, Corbin probably hasn't been too familiar with that, but these guys showed up to support me. They brought their Jeep out and they brought some candy for the kids, and they were there for the whole party the whole time. Had a good time with us. So
it was way fun. We had a great time.
Yeah, and that was just a blast. So thank you for supporting me in that. And I'm excited. I know you guys got some YouTube stuff going on, some social media stuff, and I know you got a pretty rowdy four-door Jeep that you guys like to explore in. So Jake, would you go ahead and just kind of introduce yourself? Let us know what you guys are up to. And
so I'm Jake Holmes. You'll meet my soon-to-be wife, Michaela. We have a YouTube channel, Facebook page, everything like that. It's called Hanging with the Holmes. Basically, we go out and do adventure stuff. It's not strictly Jeeping.
Yeah.
I'm doing a video right now, me and my soon-to-be daughter snowboarding, teaching her how to snowboard, so just outdoor stuff. Lots of Jeep stuff on there. Just anything. We like to go out and explore, and that's kind of what we love to do as a family. So
heck yeah.
Got 3 kids, and they love it.
Well, that's amazing. Well, we're following suit here. I love that. I know that's one thing that's huge for me. I know Corbin's kind of pitched in a little bit on how cool that is.
I grew up in the mountains. I grew up hunting, backcountry hunting, snowboarding, Jeeping. My uncle, I grew up southern Utah, Monticello area, exploring that area with my family, my mom's side.
Very nice.
My grandpa, huge outdoor side of that family, horseback riding, just everything. And that's where I grew up doing most of my exploring was out southern Utah. So
nice.
In old Jeeps, 4-wheelers, motorcycles, you name it.
Well, very cool. You threw snowboarding out there. It sounds like you and your soon-to-be daughter, you said.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys have a favorite spot to go and actually, do you guys have a favorite
Powder
resort?
Mountain is my favorite ski resort, hands down. I love Powder Mountain. We couldn't go to Powder Mountain this last time. She's still learning. It was only her second time. Tickets have gotten pricey.
Yeah, they have. The greatest snow on earth is not cheap, I'll tell you that.
It's not. So after getting all of our snowboarding equipment, it was more of a trip to Nordic.
Okay, that's
Nordic's
fair.
still a great mountain, a little icy, but it's where I grew up learning how to snowboard and ski. And so I thought it was kind of like a reminisce moment. It was back when I learned how to snowboard and ski, and now here I am with my daughter, teaching her how to snowboard and ski. And next year we're teaching the little ones. So it was kind of a cool little moment, Oh,
of course. That little that reminiscing stage in time. I don't know, Corbin, are you in the snow game at all? Do you snowboard or ski? Or?
So I grew up skiing, and I haven't probably since I was 14.
Well, what's stopping you?
Money.
Called out.
So I take my trucks and stuff out in the snow. I even taken my dirt bike out in 2 feet of snow.
Oh, dude,
Somehow
you're one of the real studs in the world then.
I go single track, snow, winter. Not like dead of winter, but up in the mountains, there's still snow. And I would love to get into it more, but I'm so busy. It's like winter is when I build stuff in the shop, getting ready for the summer. And I don't know. I want to. There's a couple of my friends that do it, so I probably will get into it more this winter.
Get it?
Fair enough. Yeah, it's kind of funny, Once you get enough of these hobbies in your back pocket, it's the juggle game. It's like how much time
am I doing today?
How much time do I spend, getting better at it? How much time do I spend doing it? How much do I time preparing for it?
Yeah.
That is a hard thing to juggle for sure.
It is.
But no, I can relate. I had years there where I also had plenty of years where it was like, I'm swamped, man. I got all these projects and this stuff going on, and work keeps me pretty busy too. And then, it was last year I had a buddy who actually just called me kind of out on a whim, and he's like, hey, I had actually hung my snowboard up. I separated my AC joint. up at Powder Mountain, which I agree with you. You know, I'm a powder pup as well. I love it up there. But I had a buddy. He's like, hey, me and the kids are going to Snow Basin, and my niece, she's a really good skier. She'd been with my dad for a couple of years before. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. I was like, I don't know what I've been doing, but it's been 3 years since I've strapped on a board. Let's get after it. And so we got out last year, and we actually bought passes this year just in time for me to break my arm in a backflip competition. So
which you won, by the way, right?
Oh, yeah, we won it. Yeah,
well, he broke it, so duh.
He destroyed the competition.
Yep. So once you break it and still land a few, that's like, it's just pushes you enough with the brownie points, you know. But but no, I love that. I think that's pretty rad, you know. And so let's see. So she's been in there 2 times, you said?
She's gone twice now. So she went once with a friend.
Okay.
And then she just.
How did that go? Was that pretty rough for her? She loved it.
She says she loves it.
So she must be like athletic by nature.
So I don't know if you've seen Art of Flight at all. The show Art of Flight. It's a snowboarding show with Travis Rice.
Oh, actually, maybe I have. It's a few years old, right?
Yeah, a couple years old. So I turned that on because she just was so excited about snowboarding, and I told her we're going up. Me and Brody are actually going up next week with her.
Very nice.
So, but I told her about this show because she was nonstop talking about snowboarding. So I put it on, and I just sat there, and she not a word said, just grins. Just watching this snowboarding film, and I could just see the passion and the love in it that I have for it, that she's growing, you know, and it was kind of a cool feeling to see that love and passion. So that next day we went out and bought snowboarding gear for her because I see the passion in it. And she bought her own board, own boots, or own bindings. I bought her boots, and we went up that next weekend, and she's a natural.
And it's all downhill from there.
She's a natural. I think she fell like twice. And yeah, natural.
All downhill.
All downhill.
Exactly.
Was not intended, I promise.
Sure.
Was not planned. I'm not a pun.
You know, maybe you are a father with jokes like that.
Well, yeah, we try. We try. But no, that's cool, man.
So that's just kind of what we're doing right now. Is just we're kind of just snowboarding. We've done a little bit of Jeep, and we went last weekend. Kind of getting ready for the summer, getting ready for things in the summer. So.
Very nice. So let's see. Yeah, we'll kind of swap gears a little bit. I know that's the fun thing about kind of the adventure platforms, right? The YouTube, like Hang with the Homes, like you said, it's all encompassing. It's the adventures that you put yourself through. But yeah, that's rad. Love Powder Mountain. I think that's dope. What are some of your go-to Jeep spots? Like, do you have some favorites that you it's like, oh, that's my go-to pick.
So if I could go anywhere ever, it's always going to be Monticello. I don't know if you've ever heard of Monticello.
I've been there a few times. I mean, I blinked as I drove through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But those mountains, they hold a very special place in my heart. That will be always my top 100 go-to if I can get down. It's a little long of a drive.
Yeah.
Closer to home, I love Left Hand Fork. That is one of my favorite Jeep trails I've ever been on. It gets a little gnarly, but then it's also peaceful, and you go through this huge rock garden, and when you get done with the rock garden, you kind of pop out and come around a corner, and it's just these massive. You're in this canyon, and it's just beautiful, green, kind of red rocky, mountainous area, and the mountains have like the cool steeple rocks on the top that look kind of like steeples just surrounding.
Okay.
It's beautiful. And that was one of my favorite places to go. I think that's the first time me and Michaela and the family actually went on a real Jeep trail.
Yeah.
So that was fun. There were a couple parts where the kids were kind of questioning, like, are we going to make this? Are we going to do this?
Is this doable?
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe.
Make no promises, but we'll play it cool for the kids in the back seat, right?
You might as well take the trail because you never know what's around the next corner.
That's very true. Just for I'm actually not familiar with Left Hand Fork. I've played quite a bit around this area. I don't know. Can you give us a general? We talking like Logan Canyon?
Yep.
We talking?
So you go up Blacksmith Canyon.
Okay.
Up Logan.
Up on the Hiram side then.
Yep.
Okay.
Just on the Hiram side, and then it wraps around. you actually pull off of Blacksmith Fork, and then it's a trail that kind of takes you through some campgrounds, and then you go around some tree areas, and then there's a big waterfall area that's really pretty.
Wow.
That has huge waterfalls. It's really cool. And then you keep going, you hit the rock garden, and then it will actually, as you keep going through, it will actually pop you out at the Avon Trail that that meets up with the Avon, and then there's Old
Ephraim's Grave.
Old Ephraim's Grave, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we went up there and saw Old Ephraim's grave and hung out around there, and so that's kind of where it's by.
That's okay. So I actually, that's funny. I've actually been in the area without knowing it. I had some buddies. We went up there for the 4th of July. You can actually run into Bear Lake, so that's what we did. We left from Blacksmith Fork. We headed up, though. We found there's actually an old abandoned mine shaft up there.
Yeah, there is.
Have you guys seen that?
I have. I don't think they have. I've been up there. My dad used to take me whenever the girls went to girls camp. My dad would take me up there to camp because it was close. And
oh, cool.
So
yeah, have you been up like Old Ephraim's Way or?
I think so. I've been up Avon in that area a lot, and then I've done the ride from, what's it called, Monte Cristo to Bear Lake.
Yeah.
So chances are I've passed through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have.
I would have.
Definitely.
So it's crazy because like there's some interchanging trails up there. You don't actually know which one you're on unless you know which ones because they're not really.
It's hard. It's not like they're marked.
There's
or
a
if
number,
you're using an app.
but that's it. Yeah, unless you're. So the crazy thing is though, like for us, so we run YXZs and side by sides a lot. So for us, it was like really fast. Like we didn't come across any rock gardens or waterfalls. We did run.
That was me too.
Yeah.
Just fast paced. We made the trip in a few hours.
Yeah. And so, but that's cool. It's crazy to know that you're in a vicinity without realizing what's in that vicinity.
There's just so much to it.
Yeah.
I mean, every trail holds a different, like, beauty, I guess.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. And the sad thing is, unless you know what you're looking for, I mean, like, like me and Corbin, we both just like, yeah, we've been right there, and then everything around it is just.
You're like, I blew through there at about 80 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I
I'll
didn't really
tell
see
you
much.
what. Side by side, we'll make it left-hand fork. I'm already planning on going this summer. You guys could come. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
I'm down.
That'd be game.
It's a fun. It's not way. I mean, obviously the left-hand fork itself is not a huge trail. It's probably about 30 minutes. Yeah. But if you guys are blowing through it, maybe 10. Well, but
yeah.
Make it 5.
Maybe
this is definitely not a trail you want to blow through. It's pretty. So.
Slow down.
Perfect. Yeah, that's always a good reminder. I feel like some of us, I know me especially, like I made my first road trip to Montana this year. That's something I always wanted to do. I ran up to Glacier. I seen Flathead Lake. I'm a big fan of the water. I'm kind of a water baby. So, but it was funny because I had no time. Right, I did it over Labor Day weekend. I took a Friday, and I was like, okay, I got to be back so that I can be ready for Monday, Tuesday morning. So it was crazy fast paced. I went up through Wilson, around Flathead, through Whitefish, which is another lake. I stayed the night just outside of Glacier. I was up at 5 a.m., ran Road to Sunrise.
Oh my gosh.
And I was in West Yellowstone by 7 that night.
Holy cow.
And so it's kind of crazy though, because I look back at that and I'm like, man, I didn't do Montana any justice. You know what I mean? Like all the scenery that I seen. I drove past all the chain of lakes. I was gone for a total of 2 days. I was actually home Sunday morning. So I left Friday, was gone Saturday, and I rolled in by like 2:30 on Sunday. And I was like, man, like, how sad is it? I was going alone, right, so you could blow through it. But it's like sometimes I think we need that great reminder, to take the time to actually slow down and see what's right underneath you, because it's like that was the most beautiful road trip I'd ever seen. But it was like the whole thing was just a blur. So, yeah, thanks for that reminder to kind of slow down and take that in. Here's one that's kind of fun, and I know pre-recording you guys were mentioning it. I didn't get the privilege to hear that, but sounds like you may have one for us. What's one of the worst nightmares that you've ever had happen to you while you're out exploring?
Oh, so I'm used to I I wouldn't say I'm used to it. Because now I'm used to this jeeping with a family and jeeping with, but prior, you know, it was always me. So it wasn't just, if anything happened, it was just to me, not a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so now I'm thinking about, you know, I've got Charlie and Hadley and Kenzie and now Michaela, you know, all in the car with me. So I got to think about where I go a little more. Well, we went out to Jacob City exploring last summer, and I'm gonna be honest, we had no idea where we were at. We were trying to use the app as good as we could, but it was right when all the trails were starting to open up, but most of them were still closed down because of the winter time.
Yeah.
And the actual Jacob City trail was closed, and so I kind of found a back path on the app of onX.
Yeah.
And it started out great. We go in, and it's got the gates is open. Everything says you can go this way. On the side of the road is signs that says like nuclear waste something or another, you know, on both sides.
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
this
this is gonna start out great.
Real quick, what app is that you're talking about?
onX.
onX. It's a trail app.
Yep, onX trail app. They have a hunting app and a trail app. So
That's cool.
I use it for backpacking and hiking, and then they have it for jeeping and off-roading, and
That's cool.
It tells you what trail it is, how long it is, and then it tells you what vehicles can go on it. So
That's cool.
It's kind of a cool little app. I'll show you after the podcast.
Everyone could probably benefit from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, definitely.
$20
cool.
a year you get $20 a year, and you can find it on discounts every now and then too. So I paid
That's cool.
$17 for the year, and I use it all the time.
That's
all
cool.
the time.
Did
So-
they pay you for that? that was
Sponsorship.
That was spot on. Holmes is going for
Trying.
sponsorship on the Onyx
Already,
card,
man.
man.
Come on.
Trying. That's just the jeeping portion. I could go on about the hunting portion. So, but no. So I'm using the app. I'm still trying to navigate it, and I figure out the spot we can go around and get to this other area. So we're all excited because that's the whole reason we came out, was to go see Jacob City. We went to another little mine town that was really cool, but it was all gravel. There wasn't really any off-roading or anything like that, and so we wanted to get a little off-roading. We had just bought a pump for our tires, to pump up our tires, so we were trying that out too. So we
Heck yeah.
deflated our tires, and off we went. And there was a spot where we came around a corner, and it was a really tight corner, and we're kind of in this gully. Came around this corner, really tight corner, and I had to do a little backup forward, little 3-point turn, you know. And Michaela just yells, "Stop!" And I could hear the fear in her voice, and so I just instantly stop. And she's like, "We need to leave. Like, get out of here." I could just see the fear, and she popped open her door, and my front tire was hanging off the edge of a mine shaft that was probably 20 feet wide. And who knows how deep. Those things, it was not a small one. And just pitch black, and like dirt was falling off the rim of my tire into the mine shaft, and you could hear the little pebbles, you know.
Yeah, that's always spooky.
And if she wouldn't have stopped, we 100% would have went in that mine shaft. I have no doubt one of our tires would have gone in, because it was just so big and so close. And then as I was backing up, you know, there was like 5 others just right in that area that were all about the same size, and none of them were graded off. And so we got out of there pretty quick. We found some other mine shafts as we went, and then when we got back to the trail, we went to go pump up our tires, and my air compressor that I bought, I didn't buy the right battery for it. I had bought the size too small, and so I was able to pump up one tire off one battery, and I was like, this isn't right. And so we had to go find it was just a cluster of a trip, if I say so myself, but it was fun. It was a good time, good bonding. Kids loved it. They didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
They had so much fun, you know. Every time me and Michaela joke about it, because every time they get in the Jeep for the first 20 minutes, they're out. Just something about it, and then they're ready to go, super excited. We want to keep going, Dad. We want to keep going. Let's go.
Well, hey, that's awesome. You know, as you kind of tell us that, it's kind of running through my mind. probably need to add like a funniest moment to like. I don't want it to be all nightmare, right?
Yeah,
funniest. I'm like, man, do you have a funniest moment?
Funniest moment
that you look back on, right? Like it might have been a nightmare at the time, but you're like looking back, you're like, oh, that was all just a misperception or whatever. It was pretty funny.
Funniest moment back in junior high. I was up hunting with my brother and my dad and my brother-in-law, and we're going through these mountains, right? And my brother, I'm in the tailgate because I've got my bow and ready to jump out, if I see any deer. And he's going about 20 to 30 miles an hour on this trail. And lo and behold, a nice deer jumps out right in front of us, but right in front of the truck. My dad had told me, he was sitting in the tailgate with me. He told me, Jake, you need to sit near the window, like at the back with your back up against the window, not on the edge of the wheel well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, we're fine. And my brother slammed on his brakes, and I went flying.
Oh, man.
Just slammed my shoulder right into that window, dislocated my shoulder. That was probably it was a funny, I've got so many funny experiences with my brothers and, Michaela and the kids. Just, we've had lots. The first time we went jeeping, Charlie, I would say Charlie probably wasn't a very outdoorsy person. That's my son, soon to be. He's 4.
Okay.
He was refusing. He needed to go to the bathroom so bad, but he was refusing to pee outside. And it was so funny because I was like, Charlie, it's not a big deal. Like,
just let it happen, man.
It's natural. It's natural.
So
you gotta
mad
do
at me. How dare I make him pee outside? And it was so funny.
Did he come around to it?
Yes, he did. He'll walk out back and just
now
pee.
You're like,
I'm like, oh no.
Now you're like, oh, we ruined him. Mom's like, what are you doing, man?
He's like, Dad told me. Yeah, no. So I've got lots of funny experiences, but those are just some of the few. That's like you said earlier, that's a podcast in itself.
Yeah, it could be definitely a podcast in its own. But yeah, I didn't mean to take away from funniest for me, man.
I want to hear yours.
Oh, this is probably you're gonna judge me. Okay, this is back when I was a kid, and now I'm curious to hear Corbin's too. But back when I was a kid, I used to love it. So we were raised heavily in the dunes, right? So. Yep. I've got a Banshee, but my dad before him had a Banshee, and back in the 90s, that was like it, So my dad's buddies, they all had.
I've never been to the dunes, by the way.
Ever?
We'll have to change that.
Yeah, we'll have to. They are worth it. So have to.
We were excited to go with you.
And then I got COVID. Yeah, we threw the invite.
I was actually going to come to that too. Yep. This is going to be a fun thing.
So I guess we're just going to have to reschedule that plan and make that happen. Sorry, COVID just had to have its way. But anyway, so I used to love, I called it sidewinding, but actually what it was back then and what it is actually just hitting bowls. So you go find these massive just sand bowls and you just ride as high to the crest as you could. And as a kid, that was my favorite, man. And I was like you, except for I used to put my dad through the ringer. I'd be like, hey, let's go for a ride. And we'd get out. We'd be a half hour into it. And I'd sleep for hours. And he would just ride. And then I'd wake up as he was like running on fumes, heading back to camp. And I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not ready to be done yet. And so, the thing was I loved a night ride too. That was my favorite. We'd go hop on the backside of the mountain in the middle of the night, and it was just pretty surreal, like back then it was just me and him, and we kind of did everything together. But I came to him one night and I was like, Dad, I want to go for a night ride. Well, before we even left camp, I was out. I was dead asleep. Like, I couldn't fall asleep. I was hunkered over the gas tank, man. I didn't even have a helmet on, nothing. My dad, he's like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Not even 5 minutes later, he comes out to go for this ride. And I'm just zonked, sawing logs. So he puts me in bed. The next morning, man, everyone's like, how was your ride last night? And I went on and on about how cool it was. Like, it was the best ride ever. I never even got out of camp, man. And so still to this day, everybody still remembers that about me being just this kid. And I'd do it. I'd fall asleep on Bronco rides. I'd fall asleep hunkered over like now knowing what I know and how much stress it can put on your arms and stuff, like riding dirt bikes, I feel really like kudos to you, Pops. You know, you're a tough SOB for packing a kid around on probably a dead forearm, you know, for hours at a time. But that was probably one of mine, like, absolute funniest memories from it, as being like a 3-4-year-old kid just passing out, like dreaming that I had this just amazing ride and never even happened.
It's funny how both of our memories are with our fathers.
Yeah.
And my father is telling me to do something, and I'm completely ignoring him, and I end up getting hurt from it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Corbin, you got one, bro? That's like right on the tip of your tongue.
Of course. Yeah. I had one that came to mind. It was really just bizarre experience. We were up, I think, by Cherry Creek, and we were on like a 2 or 3 day dirt bike trip.
Yeah.
We had our packs and then hammocks, and we had rode for a little bit, went down in a wash with some trees, and it's a nice creek and a rope swing. We set up the hammocks between some trees, and we had our dinner, a little dry pack dinner, and then went to bed. I got stuck in the middle of the creek with the tree swing, and that was an ordeal. I was only in my underwear. So that was fun.
Those redheads out there.
Not the funniest.
That's a story in itself, I bet.
That's not even the craziest part, though. That was just a small section. So you wake up in the morning, we're getting everything packed up, we're cleaning up, we're getting the bikes ready, and these two, like, Tarzan kids just crawl up.
Are we talking loincloths?
No, just like really dirty looking kids that I've never seen. We're in the middle of nowhere. We haven't seen anyone else. And they just come up over the hill and just like start running through our camp. And then they're like down in the creek, like the little pond area, messing around, like splashing.
They're getting their
touching our
bathe on,
bikes.
dude.
And we're like, you guys better chill. Like, what are you doing? And we're like, whose kids are these? Where are their parents? And then all of a sudden, the one kid finds a stick, like a big spear-looking stick.
Oh no!
And you just see this look in his eyes, and he looks at his brother, and he just like screams like a primal monkey, and just chases his brother out of our camp. And then we didn't see him the rest of the day.
Back?
Like, they never came back. And so he just runs out of the camp with this stick,
Sounds
chasing
like
his
a
brother.
horror story.
I know. And I don't know whose kids they were. We didn't see anyone else. They're just there and then gone. Just random kids in our camp. It was the weirdest thing ever.
That is weird. That's
I think they call those ghosts, bro.
Maybe.
I think
Who knows?
you had a normal experience,
Maybe they
not
were
a
from the
comedic.
20s.
Oh, that's
wow,
funny.
that's pretty wicked.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Just random.
That is
Just-
funny
I know.
though.
And we were so confused. We're like, whose kids are these? What is going on? We're like 50 miles away from civilization right now.
Where do you belong? And why are you so filthy?
And then he chases him out with a stick, trying to stab him.
Let me ask you the one question we're all wondering here is, you had pants on during all this, right?
Yes. Yes. I was fully clothed after that. Okay, so we're good.
Oh man. Well, that is pretty funny. I'm glad we took that little detour there. But yeah, no, that is cool. I can relate. You know, that is funny that it's with your dad or with your buddies. You know,
Doesn't matter who you're with when you're in the mountains, man. Honestly.
Yeah,
I've
I
been
agree.
out there with complete strangers and had the time of my life, and been out there with family and had the same amount of fun. It doesn't matter who you're with, man. As long as you're out there doing it, getting at it, and doing what you love, and that's what matters right there.
Hell yeah, man. I agree with you there. I think that leads us right into our next question. What is something that keeps you always living for that adventure?
Always finding out what's around that next corner. You know, Brody kind of mentioned it in his, you never know what you're going to get unless you take that trail.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. You never know where you're going to go or what you're going to do. I mean, who would have known 10 years ago that, I'd be with the girl of my dreams, basically, and she would share that same passion, because she didn't grow up doing this kind of stuff. She didn't grow up jeeping, four-wheeling. I mean, she grew up in the outdoors, different style, and now one of our favorite things to do is going and exploring national parks.
Yeah.
We love that, and that's kind of a thing we do as a family. And, building that for the next generation to come, my kids, teaching them that, there are hard trails out there. There's hard things to do out there. There's hard things, but we can do them. that's the passion to share, teaching my younger kids about respecting the mountains, respecting the wildlife, the love for nature, the passion, and trying to keep it clean for the next person that comes. I grew up as an Eagle Scout. You leave it better than you found it.
Yeah, of course.
That's
good. Well said.
That's kind of my passion, is just teaching my kids to love the outdoors the same I do, and always exploring that next corner, that next mountain, that next hillside. I mean, me and my brother joke, because when we go elk hunting, we could stop here. That's actually how my brother got his elk. Is we gave up, we stopped, we went off the mountain. We went completely off the mountain back to the cabin, and we had one more day that we had time off, and we were done. We had just gotten our butts kicked.
Yeah.
And my brother looked at me and he said, "Do you want to go back up?" And I'm like, "We already made it down here." But in my head, I'm like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like,
well, and you're like, I'm done. There's next year.
I turned and looked at him and I said, "Well, we sure as hell not getting an elk sitting down here at cabin."
Yeah.
And he goes, "True that." And so we went back up, and that night he got his elk. You just don't know. You never know. You never give up.
Yeah.
You fight and you work towards that, and you go the mile.
We talked about this on the first episode, but it is work. Like, doing this stuff, not only is it not
Mentally,
easy
physically.
activity, mentally, physically, you have to provide enough money to do this stuff because it's not cheap. And everyone in this, this culture, I feel like, has a really good work ethic. And like you were talking about your kids, teaching them, if they want to be a part of it, they're going to have to work for it. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like it's an all around really good thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's so important to teach them that, things are not given to you. This trail is not going to give you what you want. You have to go out and get it. And if you try to just cut around the bush or just, take the easy way, there's a good way you're going to get hurt. If you're not paying attention mentally, and you're not there, there's a good chance you could get hurt or somebody else. And, you have to always be paying attention, at every corner, and that's where it's mentally. Some of these trails we go on, they're so fun looking back, but in the moment there were a couple times where you're just like,
you're all puckered up, just wondering like, is this gonna go the way I need it to go?
I'm sure Michaela will talk about a trip that we took to Monticello and driving home. It was an experience. So, but yeah,
we're excited for that as well. And to piggyback off what Corbin said, there's an underlying theme that it ties back to the risks you take, and it's almost like for us in this, whether it's the adrenaline or the experience or the memory that comes with it.
Or all of the above.
Or all of it, yeah. I mean, for me, that's what it is. And that's kind of what drives me to even do this. It's like you never truly know the result. You never know what's at the end unless you explore it to its fullest, which, who knows you. It's kind of like any trail that I can ever remember, whether it's a hike or a Jeep trail or a trail at the sand dunes or wherever you're at. The ups and the downs, whether you're heading up or you're heading down, the destination in mind, it can take you left or right, up, down, on its side. It's always really refreshing to rub shoulders with people who share that drive with you. Like, it's funny, the more that we have these conversations and we meet as friends and we have it, I agree with you completely. I was an Eagle Scout myself. I don't know, Corbin, were you in the Scout game at all?
Yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout.
So there you go. It's kind of funny. You rub shoulders, and next thing you know, it's like, hey, you know what? We have so many commonalities between people, and it's like, even if you didn't know me 10 minutes ago, it's like we can share and be like, oh, I've been there. I can relate, and it's the work that goes into that, the respect for who created it, why it's created, and why we enjoy it, that I think is kind of really an underlying theme, as well as the work that it takes to make it all happen and pull it all off. So.
Exactly. And the other thing that I love about, the mountains, and is you kind of mentioned earlier, is we both, all of us, have all been to the Hiram area.
Yeah.
But there are so many parts of that mountain that I haven't been to, that you haven't been to, and that just is left open, that hunger that makes me want to go, okay, well, now I want to go up there and go to where you went or where you went, I want to go find out and see these places.
Yeah, and it's funny, you can get us all within a 5 or 6 foot vicinity, and we can all be like, well, I've been on this side of it, and I've been on the other side of it, and I was right in the middle, and it's like all three of us had
things.
Similar experiences, but we all missed each other's experience.
Exactly.
Like, there's just that much more to explore. So, yeah, I love it. Corbin, how are we doing on time, man?
We're about 36 minutes in.
Wow.
It's been a good one, though.
Little run long, but that's okay. So I think with that, we'll probably wrap it up and just end on a really good note. I appreciate Jake, you coming out, sharing with a little bit about us, or a little bit. Well, yeah.
Start over. You're good.
Jake, I want to start by, or I want to end up with just saying, hey, thank you for coming out and sharing these experiences with us. I think I'm excited to see what's to come with you and your daughters and their snowboard journey, especially as summer or winter still got a little bit of time.
Left,
And as we roll into summer, as we get out and start playing with Jeeps and some other stuff, hopefully we can kind of cross a few paths there and see what's going on. And I'm sure, with YouTube and all this stuff that you guys are working on building, I'm sure we'll see you back and enjoy the journey with you. So
I hope we get to come back. I mean, it's been fun, seeing different parts of the community and, being a part of your Jeepers Creepers. You better be doing that again next year, because we're going to win that Jeep title.
Oh, man, we got some competition going on. Yeah, we'll have to work on that. And yeah, we are looking into that. I'm sure we'll do a podcast about it as it gets closer. But
'cause that was a lot of fun.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that was kind of a big win for us, a step in the right direction after some efforts didn't go as well as we planned. So thanks for your interest and
of course. And if there's anything we can do, you know where to find us.
Dude, heck yeah! Thanks so much for coming out, Jake.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
One more thing, Henry, we can cut this out if you want.
Yeah.
For all the viewers out there, if you've got everyone in this field, they've got crazy stories. We all love talking about it. And if you live in the Utah area, even lower Idaho, if you're willing to make the drive to Ogden, reach out and you could be on this podcast and share what drives you and the things that have happened to you in your life.
Gives us another area to go explore.
Yeah.
If you tell us a crazy place or a crazy thing, heck, I might want to go out there and see it myself. So.
Heck yeah. No, Corbin, Corbin's more like a co-host than anything. He's the man behind it all. Like he is the man with the skills that pay the bills here. But I couldn't agree more. I do have a list that's kind of running of people, but like we're just looking to rub shoulders with anybody that's in the scene. So we'll have an email. We probably ought to take some links down too, YouTube wise.
We'll figure that out.
But anyways, we'll wrap it up. But yeah, you guys reach out. Corbin, thanks for throwing that out there.